Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and feels on Orange the Complete Collection Volume 1 and Orange the Complete Collection Volume 2, both by Ichigo Takano. This is my first time doing a manga review, so it's super exciting, but also a little bit daunting, so bear with me. This manga is collected in 2 volumes, and it's also being adapted into an anime this summer. I believe it's happening in July, so that's super exciting. In this story, we follow a girl who receives a letter from her future self, and the letters basically outline how her days are going to turn out, but her future self is also pleading for her to change her future because of a certain tragedy that takes place within her life. At first she's in disbelief, but as time passes she begins to realize how accurate the letters are. So she makes it her mission to change the future. We all have regrets in life, or things that we wish we would have done a little bit differently, and this was one of those stories where you saw the person having a chance to go back and change the past, and you just can't help but be rooting for the characters throughout the story in hopes that they can change the outcome of a certain situation that's going to take place. There are moments of happiness because of what she's able to do, but there's also moments of sadness, especially because there are things that don't turn out the way that she'd hoped for. And it's a super bumpy road, but it's worth it. There are so many different elements within the story that I loved, one of those being the female friendships that we see throughout this story. We have this group of girls within the story that have a super strong bond, and they don't let anybody mess with that bond. They have each other's back the whole way through. Even though there is a conflict between 2 of the girls over a guy in this manga, the support that is showcased is really great. Another element that I loved is that there are no bad guys within the story. Pretty much every guy in this book is portrayed in a good light, which I found rather refreshing. They're each selfless and willing to make sacrifices for each other. The main element that I loved so much throughout the story was just the friendship that we see throughout it. I didn't go into this story expecting it to be a friendship-driven story, but that's definitely a driving force behind it, and I am here for it. I'm all about it. I loved that aspect of this story. With the power of friendship, they're able to do incredible things. Throughout this story, we get past and present perspectives, and I really liked that aspect of the story because you kind of get to see 2 different angles. You have one perspective where this tragedy has taken place, and you kind of see how it's affecting all the different characters, and then you have this other perspective where the tragedy hasn't happened yet, and they have this chance to change the future. They were 2 very different viewpoints, but I loved that back and forth. And I was really happy with how it flowed throughout the story. It felt very natural and never felt out of place. Something else that I loved within the story were the big reveals, because they're just things that you don't see coming at all. They're these reveals that make you want to go back and reread the manga to kind of see if you can pick up on the different hints early on within the story. Overall, I loved this manga and I highly recommend it. It's such a beautiful story. It's beautifully written and beautifully pieced together. It's honestly the first manga that ever made me teary-eyed. I never thought that that would ever happen to me while reading a manga, but this definitely had an emotional punch and it punched me right in the feels. I do want to go into a little bit of a spoilery section because there is one problem that I had with this manga, but I can't talk about it openly. It's kind of a spoilery thing. So if you have not read this manga, I would highly recommend it, especially if you've never read a manga and you've been wanting to try one out. I think that this is a great place to start, especially because it's not a crazy long manga series. There's only 2 collections here, so it's not that overwhelming. So if it sounds like something you might be interested in, definitely check it out. So I'm now going to be jumping into a small little spoilery section here. So if you have not read this manga yet, peace out. Okay, so I want to talk about the ending of this manga because I don't know if anybody else felt the same way, but I just felt a little bit weird about it. When they finally save Kokoru from committing suicide, it's like he's fine and he's fixed. Like, the fact that they saved him means he's not going to ever commit suicide again. But like, his journey with suicidal thoughts cannot just end there. And to me, reading that ending, it just felt like they saved him and that he was never going to have to deal with suicidal thoughts ever again. And just because you're saved from committing suicide doesn't mean you're going to stop having suicidal thoughts. This is a thing that people deal with on the daily, and I wish that would have been explored more in the end. How yes, it's so great that they saved him, but his journey is not over. He's gonna deal with this his whole life. But I don't know, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this down below. How did you feel about that ending? Let me know if you agree or disagree with me. Just make sure that you put a spoiler warning on your comments so that if other people haven't read this series yet, that they don't get spoiled. Also, please keep this discussion respectful. So those are my thoughts on Orange the manga. You guys should let me know down below all your thoughts on this series. I'd love to know your feels. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so click subscribe if you want to be notified for when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, choo. And there's also going to be an anime, blah, blah. It's like every time I try to film, the neighbors think that they have to mow while I'm filming. They were 2 very different